These are the 13 moments the Demon Slayer story just didn't make any sense. And let's start with this one, where Tanjiro literally did something impossible. During his fight with the swamp demon, after some battling, Tanjiro eventually ends up in a swamp and is unable to breathe. So what does he do next? He breathes. Yeah, that's right. Inside of a muddy swamp, Tanjiro somehow manages to breathe and perform a breathing technique. I mean, look, I know Tanjiro's sense of smell is comical sometimes, but come on, breathing underwater? Really? The plot holes throughout the video are only going to get more and more crazier from here, and some of them later on completely change the direction of the story. Anyway, let's continue with this one. During Tanjiro's fight against Daki in Season 2, at one point, he manages to cut off her leg. However, when Daki regenerates, something weird happens. Instead of just regenerating her flesh like any other demon, she somehow regenerates a part of her outfit as well. I mean, it's not really a groundbreaking plot hole, but it's pretty interesting. But definitely not as interesting as this one about previous water Hashira, Tsukonji. So, you all know how Tsukonji taught Tanjiro how to use water breathing. Nothing unusual with that. But he also did something else that was quite fascinating. He managed to hypnotize Nezuko to see all humans as her family and to suppress her demonic urges. Although this is something you most likely didn't think too much about, I can't help but wonder, how on earth did he pull that off? I mean, in the entire series, we've never seen anyone else doing something like this, so did Urokodaki have some special psychic abilities? What's even weirder is that this was never mentioned again during the course of the series. I guess that we should just forget this ever happened. In Season 3 of Demon Slayer, we were introduced to Swordsmith Village, and we learned just how hard it is to get there. First, you must get blindfolded, and then someone will carry you there so you don't know where you are going. But even the people who carry Slayers don't know where the village is. They follow a bunch of different crows for days until they get there. Anyway, the point is, the village is super well hidden. So how did Gyoko manage to find it? It's surely explained somewhere, right? No, we literally watched 2 full minutes of detailed explanation of how well the village is hidden just so Gyoko can mysteriously find it moments later. This just makes the village's whole top secret status seem like a joke. There was another thing that didn't make sense in Season 1, specifically during the final selection. You see, while Tanjiro was trying to survive in the woods in order to become a demon slayer, we learned that this huge demon lived there for a long time and was way stronger than any demon in there should be. So my question is, how didn't the Corps know about it? This demon was there for at least 30 years, and in all this time, nobody who passed the final selection said anything to the Corps? Like, hey guys, there's a demon down there who is like too strong, you should check it out. I mean, I agree that Tanjiro killing it was way more satisfying, but come on, this doesn't make any sense. Okay, you all know how Tanjiro trained really hard to cut this boulder in half, but fortunately, he had someone to help him out, Sabito and Makomo, who were, well, ghosts. Anyway, since this is a shonen anime, let's ignore the ghost part for now, as it's pretty usual for these types of shows. However, the important question I have to ask here is, how in the hell did the ghost manage to inflict visible physical damage to Tanjiro? Check out this scene. Right after Sabito knocks Tanjiro out, it's clear that Tanjiro is injured from the attack and is even bleeding? I guess we shouldn't think about this scene that much. We still have 6 plot holes left to cover, and these next ones will definitely blow your mind. For example, take a look at this one regarding Nezuko. She went from being a charming teenage girl to a demon forced to live in a box, but some things about her demonic nature don't make much sense. For example, why did she go from being intelligent to having the mind of a toddler? Or why did she lose her ability to speak? You could say that a demon transformation made her that way, but so far in the series, we've never seen a demon with these symptoms. Even much weaker demons than her are capable of thinking and talking, so why is she an exception? And yeah, I know she talks a bit later on in the manga, but why wait so long? Didn't she want to say something to her brother during all those years? There is another character that chose not to tell anything to Tanjiro, and it is Tamayo. Okay, let me explain. At the beginning of the show, we didn't know much about Tamayo, so her conversation with Tanjiro seemed pretty normal. However, after reading through the whole manga and learning who she really is, there are a few things that don't add up. Since Tamayo lived during Yorichi's era, she must have known about sun breathing and demon slayer marks, but for some reason, she chose not to reveal any of this to Tanjiro? Some of you may say that she didn't remember it since it was a long ago, but come on. Tanjiro and Yorichi literally have the exact same earrings and demon slayer marks. There's no way she didn't notice that. She was also Muzan's close servant and probably knew much information about him that she could share as well, but she didn't. This really makes you wonder if her backstory was planned from the beginning or just added later. Speaking of first meetings, let's talk about the one between Muzan and Tanjiro. When the two first met, things went weird. For some reason, Muzan didn't even attempt to attack the boy and instead turned this random guy into a demon and then just casually walked away. Do you see any problem with this? Okay, let me help you out with that. Despite his cover being blown by a demon slayer, despite that slayer having the same mark as Yorishi, and despite seeing the earrings worn by a man who almost killed him, the best he could do is just walk away? You may say he didn't want other people to see who he really was, but that also makes zero sense. He's a demon king. If he wanted to, he could kill the entire group of people around Tanjiro in seconds and nobody would know what happened. But no, I guess just casually walking away would make much more sense, right? But did you know that there is a huge plot hole in Inosuke's backstory? You all know how he was raised by the boars and trained by himself in the wilderness. Nothing wrong with that. But there is one little detail pretty much nobody noticed. How the hell did Inosuke manage to develop his breathing style? It was clearly stated in the manga that Inosuke had no teacher and that he taught himself this breathing style while fighting for survival in the mountains. But do you see a problem with this explanation? The only guy in the entire series that managed to learn a breathing style by himself is Yorichi Sugekuni, the guy who invented them. Is the show implying that Inosuke is just as talented as Yorishi? I mean, it's either that or the boars taught him. Before we cover the absolute biggest plot hole in the entire Demon Slayer, we first need to talk about Wisteria Poison. Out of all the Slayers in the show, Shinobu is the only character using this poison during combat. Although this makes sense considering her medical background and status as the insect Hashira, I just can't help but wonder, why are the other Demon Slayers using it in their battles? There are literally no downsides to this. They can all still continue to use their normal weapons and just lace them with poison. This would instantly make them many times more powerful, as they could paralyze demons just by touching them with their swords. Even the Upper Moon 6, Gyutaro, was greatly weakened for a short time when Tanjiro stabbed him with Wisteria Kunai. So just imagine if every Slayer could paralyze a demon like that. It would make their job so much easier. Another thing they could do is make long-range weapons, something like bows or guns, lace bullets with Wisteria, and use them to fight demons from a distance. The possibilities here are endless, and who knows? If the Slayers utilize this simple trick, maybe Rengoku would survive his battle against Akaza. And finally, let's talk about the biggest plot hole in the show. Throughout his life, Muzan had only one goal: to find a blue spider lily and get immunity to sunlight. However, no matter how hard he looked, he could never find this mysterious flower, not even after 1,000 years of searching. The explanation for this can be found in chapter 205, where it was revealed that the flower only blooms for a few days every year and only during sunlight. But again, like with all the plot holes so far, this just doesn't make any sense. Is the show trying to tell us that in over 1,000 years of searching, Muzan didn't attempt to gather information from humans? What about the countless people he consumed? Did none of them have any memories of seeing the flower? What about all the other demons in the world? Are we really supposed to believe that none of them tried to make humans look for the flower during the day? The entire army of demons searched 1,000 years for this thing, and the explanation we get is, oh, it only blooms during the day, so Muzan never found it. It makes no sense. Click on this video where we explained all 8 Demon Slayer gods in Demon Slayer.